Hi, hello chess enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Chess Ventura channel. In this video, I'll be discussing a very exciting chess game played between Paul Morphy and Ivan Samilovic, which took place in September 1958. Alright, let's dive right into the game. Here, Morphy is playing white and Samilovic is holding the black pieces. The game begins with e4, followed by e6, then d4, and an offer to d5. Morphy declines by pushing the pawn forward. Yes, this is a typical French opening. Samilovic challenges with pawn to c5, which is of course defended by c3. Now, the knight comes out to c6, adding more pressure on the pawn, and Morphy defends with knight to f3. Finally, there's an exchange of pawns on d4. And after the pawns capture each other, Samilovic seizes the moment and attacks with a bishop to c4. Check. This is simply blocked by the knight. But Samilovic continues with queen to a5. Now, bishop to d2 is the normal response here. But uniquely, Morphy answers with h4. Honestly, I'm not an expert in the French opening, but if I were playing online, I'd be suspicious of this h4 move. But okay, I won't delve into that. So, of course, the bishop captures the knight. Check. And after the pawn takes back, the queen obviously captures the pawn and check. Now, the bishop finally blocks this check. The queen still has an option to move to b2, but it will be continuously chased by the rook to b1. And its only option left would be to capture a pawn. Alright. Now it's the bishop's turn to come out to d3. And let's take a closer look here. The queen has no escape, right? So, it tries to escape by moving to a 3, creating a way out while attacking the bishop. Okay, the bishop is defended by queen to c2, and then the knight on g moves to e7. In my opinion, this is quite strange, since it blocks the queen's escape route, doesn't it? So, the rook immediately goes to b3 to keep pressing the queen. This position now leaves the black queen with just two options. If it goes to a 1, it'll be blocked by the rook. But I think you should also know about Morphy's brutal plan to trap this queen. If the queen moves to a 4, for example, the bishop can go to b5, attacking the queen and, importantly, supporting the knight. The queen still has one square left on a 1. Check. And after the rook blocks, the queen has one square left, a 3. This time, the bishop can move to b4. And now, the queen is certainly trapped, capturing the bishop, and in return, the rook takes the queen. Clearly, white would have a huge advantage with a position like this. Alright, let's return to the actual game. So, the queen is forced to a 1. Check. And after the rook blocks, the queen then moves to a 3. Morphy chooses to castle short. The knight continues its maneuver to f5, pressuring the pawn twice. And yes, maneuver meets maneuver. The pawn advances, so the knight on f simply captures. Then the knight captures back, and naturally, the knight captures again. Since this knight is also attacking the queen, the bishop goes to b5, check first. Now, this is the crucial moment in this game. If the knight captures the bishop, the rook might capture the knight. Or the bishop could move to b4 first, and after the black queen leaves, the white queen can go to c5. That would be a very dangerous combination, right? But in any case, I think black has no other option. They have to take the knight. However, black makes a blunder by choosing to block with the bishop. Naturally, Morphy captures the bishop and check. And this cannot be captured back, because the rook can take the pawn on d7, check, followed by the queen to c7. That would obviously lead to an unstoppable checkmate. Thus, the king moves to d8 first. The black knight is still threatening the queen, and the black king is also attacking the bishop. So the realistic move would be for the white queen to dodge to a4, right? Because after the exchange of queens on a4, white would still be ahead. But do you know Morphy's response here? He actually plays the bishop to g5. Check. Wow, this is very interesting. Let me say it again. The black king cannot capture the bishop because of the rook's check potential on b7. So the only option is to block with a pawn to f6. And in this position, there are 3 white pieces at risk. The most logical move would be to save the queen, right? And the least logical would be to save the bishop, as they're meant to be sacrificed, right? But it's precisely this illogical choice that Morphy takes. The rook captures the pawn on b7. This is incredibly brutal. So the knight has no choice but to capture the queen. Let me analyze this. If the pawn captures, clearly the bishop will recapture and check, forcing the queen to block, then simply capture it. Check. The king must capture back. Then the bishop can retreat to a 4 check, attacking the knight. So no matter what black does, the bishop will capture the knight. This game becomes unbalanced, right? With a position like this, the most black can hope for is a draw. Okay, let's return to the actual game. Here, Samilovic tries one last attempt. Pawn to h6. Naturally, the white pawn captures. Check. And, after the pawn captures the bishop, the white pawn also captures the rook, promoting to queen and check. The black queen can't block, so the king must move to a7, and finally, the white queen captures the rook. And yes, here Samilovic resigns immediately. Absolutely brutal, right? It's just incredible to think, after the queen was sacrificed earlier, she comes back to bring victory. Amazing. From this position, it's clear white would have won. But let's analyze what might have happened if the game had continued. From here, white would certainly win the knight. If the king moves to d6, the white queen can check from b8. If the king moves to c5, the queen goes to c8, checking and pinning the knight. Or, if the king retreats, it's the same. Bishop to a4, check. The king has no options left. The last attempt to save the knight would be king to f6. Then white follows with queen to h8, check. And here, the king has 3 choices. If the king goes to f5, the queen checks again from h7. If it goes to e7, then bishop to a4, another check. The final move is king to f7. And then bishop to e8, double checkmate. So that's how the game would end if it had continued. At the Grandmaster level, sacrificing a queen and not winning is rare, as white showed here. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful and entertaining. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this channel, and leave any comments or feedback below. Thank you, and see you next time.